I don't think the aim is to actually stop the cycle of birth and death, yeah? Because then that feeds into control, which is doubt and fear based, right? Because we didn't come here with instructions, right? So where did that come from? If it didn't come from the ego. I think consciousness will keep replicating and repeating itself and entering the simulation however it wants. Because you have to understand that the human, like just the human, the experiences available to the human is infinite. Yeah? Postman. It's infinite, right? And once you then start to think about, okay, this animal and that animal and that animal, it just runs into the number. I don't even think the number is not imaginable. Yeah, basically. And consciousness will always find a way to replicate itself. Yeah. That's why, and like I told you, everything that happens on the consciousness level repeats itself in the 3D. Yeah. So you hear the you hear them say, oh, we just discovered a new animal, we've discovered a new planet, we've discovered a new this, we've discovered a new that, new life form, new fish, new this, new that, new this. There's always something being discovered, yeah? That alone should give away the fact that you don't live on a ball, but whatever the fuck people want to believe, let them believe. Obviously, whatever. But, because if you look at animals, right, and humans as well, we adapt. Yeah, we adapt to different environments and different places, and over time, we can actually become very distinct in our physiology, yeah? The grizzly bear and the polar bear are technically neighbors, but they are very, 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 very different. Yeah, or the brown bear, I think, yeah. They're very, very different. But they're still bears, right? But they're very, very different. So over time, adaptations and whatnot can make these animals become very, very different, right? There are sea snakes and there are, snakes on the land. They're very similar, but they have different adaptations, right? So in the same way, different environments and different scenarios will create different permutations of expressions. And it's not a human thing. Yes, we know that they're doing lab animals and all the rest of it. Like, look around you, bro. Like, some of these animals are like, what the fuck animals, bro? But like, what the fuck? But the point is, it doesn't even matter because nobody's creating, the humans, the science people or whatever, they're not creating anything. Remember, the choice has already been made before you choose. So it's consciousness finding ways to enter this place through love and through ego, through all these things. It will find a way to get here because it's using itself to bring itself into fruition. That's what actually happens. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So then the point is not to kind of break away from the cycle of birth and death and all the rest of it, because we can't break away from it. Yeah. Because who's to say that consciousness is not going to find other ways to come here? It's actually kind of simplistic, really. It's a very simple way to look at life because it doesn't end the show. Yeah. It doesn't end the control or like how the thing decides to appear and reappear or disappear is not up to us. The key is to be authentic and do everything consciously. Raise kids consciously, have children consciously, start relationships consciously and authentically. Yeah. Because if you're authentic, the resonance will ensure that you're both on an even kind of like level and you raise your kids very consciously and authentically, which will allow for the expression to bloom in a very, very different way rather than like having a child because you're 30 now, or like having a child or getting into a relationship because stupid things like that. Yeah, because you're only going to create ego-based children because you are operating from ego. It's something you can't argue with. Yeah, it's something you can't argue with. So it's not about escaping anything because you can't escape anything. Yeah. So the aim of the game is to make sure that everything is done consciously, authentically, and in full awareness of what we are, So when you meet somebody, you realize that, oh, this is a reflection of myself. I got to treat them correctly. I got to, care for them, nurture them, nourish them, all the good stuff. You do all the good stuff, and it's because you do it to yourself, right? The Christian commandment says the same thing as well, which is, I think, is one of the hidden gems in the Bible. Love your neighbor as yourself thing is really, really dope. So if we do that, then naturally we will actually create more consciously, because we can't break away from the cycle anyway. Yeah, we can't break away from it. It's an illusion. So you decide to stop having children, doesn't mean anything. Other reflections and other perspectives of consciousness will carry on. Like, who the fuck are you? Like, you're not like, it doesn't change. It changes the game from your perspective, yes, but it doesn't change the overall game. It really doesn't. Because there are infinite data points experiencing infinite experiences, right? But it should all be done authentically and consciously. That's the aim of the game, I think.